from Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Sarah Williams reporting. A monitoring group said Friday a series of truck bombs in northeast Syria has killed at least 22 people in the latest act of violence that comes amid a new wave of Syrian diplomacy. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the bombs went off near a health center and vegetable market in the Kurdish-held town of Tel Tamer in Hasakeh province. The Britain-based group, which is a network of contacts on the ground in Syria, said dozens also were wounded in the late Thursday attacks, adding the death toll is likely to rise. Tel Tamer is controlled by Kurdish YPG forces, which have for months been battling Islamic State extremists in the area with the help of U.S.-led airstrikes. The Taliban claim responsibility for an attack in central Kabul Friday evening. A massive explosion followed by bursts of gunfire could be heard around 6 p.m. Friday in the affluent Sherpur area near diplomatic missions and government buildings. The Taliban said multiple suicide bombers attacked a guest house in the area and inflicted heavy casualties. There was no official confirmation of that account, however. The attack is said to have taken place near the Spanish embassy in the Afghan capital. The Taliban statement said the target was a guest house used by foreign invaders. Interior Ministry spokesman Sadek Siddiqui tweeted that a car bomb appeared to be the source of the explosion. Heavy gunfire followed the first massive explosion, and a reporter near the scene said police reported at least 3 attackers were involved. Friday's attack in Kabul followed a 27-hour siege of the airport in the southern Kandahar city on Tuesday. This is VOA News. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says a lot of progress has been made at the UN climate talks in Paris, but some very difficult issues must be resolved.
I'm hopeful. I think there's a way to go forward if there's a reasonableness. And over the course of the next hours, this should take shape, and it's possible that could come to a conclusion sometime tomorrow.
Kerry met with French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius Friday after what sources said was a hard night of negotiations among the 195 nations at the Paris meetings. The biggest disagreements have been over how much financial responsibility poorer nations should take for the cost of cutting greenhouse gas emissions and what the stated long-term goal of the agreement should be. North and South Korea have held high-level talks for the first time in nearly 2 years, with both sides expressing a desire to improve long-strained ties. The vice-ministerial-level meeting was held Friday at the Kaesong Industrial Complex, just north of the tense demilitarized zone separating the two countries. South Korean Vice Unification Minister Hwang Bu-gi and his North Korean counterpart Jong Jong-soo struck an optimistic tone as they shook hands at the beginning of the dialogue. The talks were agreed to in August as part of a deal that ended a standoff over a landmine incident that wounded 2 South Korean soldiers near the border. Brian Patton is VOA's correspondent in Seoul.
North Korea wants to get more inter-Korean trade reestablished. For example, they want to reopen this cross-border tourism program that was in place till about 2008.
The South canceled the tours in 2008 after a South Korean was killed there. The last such meeting was held in October. A Burundian army spokesman says 12 gunmen who attacked military bases in the capital Friday were killed as soldiers clashed with their attackers. Colonel Gaspard Baratuza said in a statement that 21 attackers were captured along with some arms and explosives. He said 5 soldiers were wounded. However, Army soldiers speaking on condition of anonymity said that at least 3 soldiers were killed. A former Oklahoma City police officer was found guilty of rape and sexual battery by a jury on Thursday. Prosecutors said he preyed on women who had been in trouble with the law. Daniel Hotzclaw, a 29-year-old who's half white and half Japanese, was charged with sexually assaulting and raping 13 black women, the youngest 17 years old. All of them testified at the trial that began more than a month ago. I'm Sarah Williams in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.